It's the middle of July. You walk into the store, and right there by the front doors is a big wooden bin, stacked high with watermelons. Round ones, long ones, some pale, some dark green. $7 each. 9 for the big ones. You lift one up, you turn it over in your hands, and if you're honest with yourself, you have no idea what you're looking for. The young fellow stocking the shelf doesn't know either. So you do what your father used to do, you give it a knock with your knuckles. But you can't quite remember what sound you're supposed to be listening for. So you pick the biggest one, you hope for the best, and you carry it home. B-roll, melon being cut open on a kitchen table Saturday afternoon. The family's at the table. You cut it open, and the inside is pale pink, not deep red. The rind is thick and white. The seeds are still pale. And that first bite is watery, mealy. Almost no taste at all. $7. And half of it goes out to the compost pile. The rest, you feed to the animals, because nobody in the house will touch it. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second. There was a time when nearly every farm wife in this country could walk up to a pile of melons at a roadside stand and pick the sweetest one in the bin every single time, not by luck, by knowing. They had a handful of small tests they ran before they'd hand over a single coin. Not one of them is difficult. Not one of them costs a thing. And anybody watching this can learn the whole set in the next 15 minutes and never bring home a bad melon again. My name is Samuel Fisher. I'm Amish, and I farm here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. My wife grew up picking melons at her family's produce stand alongside her mother. And her mother learned it from her mother before her. These aren't tricks I read in a book. They're the tests that got handed down, by hand, at the side of a wagon. I'm going to walk you through the 7 of them. The field spot, the stem, the give, the thump, the weight, the shape, and the webbing. 7 small tests. Do them in about a minute and a half, on any melon, in any store. And you'll know before it ever goes in your cart, whether you're carrying home sugar or carrying home a mistake. One quick word before the tests. There's far more of these old methods than fits in one video, so I've gathered them together in one place, linked below. For the folks who want the long version, I won't bring it up again. If you want it, you know where to find it. Now let me show you how the old folks picked their melons. Turn the melon over. Every watermelon has one spot, the place where it sat on the ground while it was growing. The sun never touched it. That one spot is the melon's belly, and its color tells you almost everything. You want a deep, creamy, buttery yellow, golden, like fresh butter. That color means the melon stayed on the vine long enough to finish ripening. The warm earth slowly turned that spot from green, to white, to gold, over weeks in the field. A white spot, or a pale one with no gold in it, means it was picked too early, before the sun and the soil finished their work. Inside, it'll be pale and watery. Walk away from it. A green spot, or barely any spot at all. That one came off the vine, so soon it never even settled onto the ground. Put it back. If my wife and I are at a stand, and every belly is chalk white, we get back in the buggy and drive to the next stand. No other test matters more than this one. Deep, buttery yellow. Memorize that color. Look at the top, where the melon was cut from the vine. Sometimes there's still a little curly tendril of dried vine beside it. If that stem and tendril are brown and dried up, that's the melon telling you it ripened all the way. When a melon is truly ready, the vine pulls its sap back, the little tendril withers, and only then does it come off. The plant itself gave the signal. That's the one you want. If the stem is still green, if that tendril is soft and green, it was cut off early, while the vine was still feeding it. Green means somebody's knife decided, not the plant. Walk away. Now, most stores trim the stems short, so this one's easier at a farm stand than a grocery aisle. But where you can see it, it's gold. Brown and dry means the vine let go on its own. Press your thumb gently against the rind, not hard, just to press. A ripe melon gives the tiniest bit, the way a ripe peach gives under your thumb. There's a small spring to it, because inside it's full of loose water and sugar and life. An unripe one is hard as a rock. No give at all, like pressing on green wood. Put it back. But here's the part, folks. Miss. Too much give is also bad. If it feels soft, or almost mushy, the flesh inside has already started to break down. That one's past its time. You're after that small, just right spring. firm, but not stone. Feel the difference once, and your hand will know it for the rest of your life. This is the one everybody's heard of, and most folks do it wrong. Hold the melon up, rest your other hand flat against the far side. Then give the rind a sharp knuckle tap, like knocking on a door, and listen. There are 3 sounds a melon makes. A deep, low, hollow sound, like knocking on a barrel half full of water. That's a ripe one. The water's loose, the sugar's dissolved, and it rings true. That's your melon. A dull, flat, dead thud, like knocking on solid wood, means it's unripe and tight inside. Walk away. And a soft, padded sound, like knocking on a pillow, means it's overripe and breaking down inside. Also walk away. You're listening for that deep, drum-like boom. Hear the difference once, and your ear never forgets it. Every home has little leaks. Food that spoils. Heat that escapes. Money that slips out the door without anyone noticing. On this channel, and in our community linked below, my wife and I help you find those leaks and close them, one at a time, the old way. The link's in the description, whenever you're ready. Now the last 3 tests. These are the ones the careful old folks always check, and everybody else walks right past. Pick your melon up. Then pick up a second one, about the same size, and heft them both. A ripe watermelon should feel heavier than it looks, because it's dense with water and sugar. A ripe one is nearly all water by weight, and all that water is what makes it heavy. A melon that feels light and airy for its size has lost its water picked too early, or sat in the store too long. Either way, disappointment inside. That's why you compare 2 of the same size in your hands. The heavier of the 2 is almost always the sweeter one. My wife taught me that years ago, and it hasn't failed me yet. A good melon is evenly shaped, smooth, and symmetrical. No big lumps, no flat sides. A round one should be evenly round. A long one should taper smooth from end to end. Why does that matter? Because the shape is the record of how well the bees did their work. When the flower was visited by plenty of bees, the seed set evenly all the way around, and the melon grows out smooth and even, and the sugar spreads evenly through the flesh. When the flower was poorly pollinated, the melon comes out lumpy or lopsided, and the sweetness comes out patchy too. One side sweet, the other side bland. So the smooth, even melon is the one the bees worked over and over. The lopsided one, they skipped. The shape just tells you what the bees thought of it. Look closely at the rind. Sometimes you'll see fine brown lines, almost like a faint spider's web threaded across the surface. Some folks call them sugar lines. Those lines are gold. They're tiny healed scars left where the bees touched the flower again and again while pollinating it. Every touch left a little mark that healed into a brown line as the melon grew. So the more webbing you see, the more the bees worked that flower, and the sweeter the melon. A perfectly clean rind with no webbing at all. The bees barely visited. Less webbing, less sugar. More webbing, more sugar. This is the one my wife and I save for last, the tiebreaker. 2 melons with good yellow bellies and good weight. The one with more brown sugar lines wins every time. Look at what we just walked through. 7 small tests. The field spot, buttery yellow not white. The stem brown and dry, not green. The give a small spring, not stone. The thump, a deep hollow boom, not a flat thud. The weight, heavier than it looks. The shape, even not lopsided. And the webbing, the more brown sugar lines the better. Walk up to any pile of melons in this country. Spend 90 seconds running these 7 tests, and you will not carry home another bad watermelon for the rest of your life. And here's what I want you to understand about why folks forgot all this. There's no money in teaching people how to pick a sweet watermelon. The store doesn't gain a thing from a careful shopper. They'd just as soon sell you the pale, lopsided one for the same $7 as the perfect one, and have you never know the difference. So slowly, quietly, the knowing stopped being passed down. Grandmother to mother, mother to daughter, and now a whole country stands in the produce aisle, knocking on melons at random, and hoping. You don't have to hope. The tests work. The bees, the sun, the vine, and the earth left their fingerprints on every melon you'll ever pick up. Learn to read them, and you'll eat sweet melon every Saturday from June clear to September. So here's what I'd like you to do. This week, go to a farm stand or the produce section at your store, and walk through the pile. Pick up 2 or 3. Find the field spot. Look for the stem. Feel the give. Thump the rind, and listen. Heft the weight. Check the shape. Hunt for the webbing. Then pick the best one. Cut it open Saturday afternoon, and let your family taste the difference. Once they've tasted what a properly picked melon is supposed to taste like, deep red, dense, sugar sweet, they'll never let you bring home a bad one again. And the little ones will start doing the tests right alongside you. That's how the knowledge comes back. Tell me, down in the comments, which of these 7 tests had you never heard of before? The webbing, the shape, the tendril. And if your grandmother or your mother had her own special way of picking a melon at the market, share it below. Those little family tricks are exactly the kind of thing that gets lost when nobody writes them down. I read every single one. Next time, since we've been talking about reading the fruit you bring home, I'm going to show you the old way my people grow their own tomatoes. The seed saving, the planting, the small habits that let a single packet of seeds feed a family fresh tomatoes all summer, and into jars for the whole winter. It's the natural next step after today. Until then, look for the buttery yellow spot. Listen for that deep hollow boom. And remember that the bees, the sun, and the vine wrote a love letter on every good melon they ever made. You just have to know how to read it.